Hey, what's going on? This is Jerry Fetta, owner, founder, and CEO of Walt Dynamics, coming at you with another Fitness Friday. And before I jump into my video today, I want to give you a quick message, okay? So we've got an event coming up. It's going to be on June 3rd. It's called the In the Arena Bootcamp. Okay, in the arena means that this is people who are really out there in life. They're doing it, they're winning. So I've got some of my closest friends, some of my closest allies. I've got a guy that runs a $100 million family office, a guy that runs one of the top digital marketing companies in the world, one of the top business consultants on the planet for the last 40 or 50 years, and others at this event, talking about how they were successful in their arenas, how they overcame their own barriers and critics, how you and I can do the same. Now, on this video, stay to the very end today. Okay, I'm gonna give you a special tip on how you can get stronger every single workout, no matter what. Okay, this is what I do, this is what I've used, it works amazing, so stay to the very end, and I'm gonna hit you with some great content today. Hey, what's going on? We're back again with Fitness Friday. I wanna talk to you today about the proper way to get into weight training, right? So I'm gonna tell you what I did initially. So when I first started working out with weights, I was in high school, right? And so I was doing it for basketball. I realized that if I had stronger triceps, I could shoot further. And so I would sit there and I would literally do tricep extensions on my bed. I had a little dumbbell and I would train triceps every single day. I'd lay down and just do hundreds of tricep extensions. Okay, later on I learned that if I had stronger calves, I could dunk a basketball. I'm 5'9", and I can tell you by the time I graduated high school, I could dunk basketballs because I would just do calf raises. I would do them over and over and over, just standing on the edge of my stairs. And I remember one night I did 1,000 calf raises, and then the next day I couldn't walk, right? And that was my introduction to like weight training and working out. And then I realized, okay, well, if I do, my quads, I can run faster, right? And so there were different things I would do. I'd do squats, I would do lunges, different things like that. And then I finally decided, hey, I just want to get into bodybuilding. Like I want to be, physically stronger, better looking, more able. I want to feel energetic, right? And so even to this day, I still work out with weights, right? But it started with me trying to solve a problem, right? And so I want to share with you some of the problems you can solve with weights, right? So that you look at it as a solution to your problem as well. And it really is something that once you get into it, it's a lot of fun. It gives you a lot of benefit, right? So let's talk about one of them. One of them could be if you've got back pain, okay? If you've got back pain, it's because you have a weak core, your abdominals. You've actually got abs on the inside. Like people don't know this. They think abs, they think six pack. Inside your abdominals, there's actually muscles inside there too. Okay, those inside behind this first layer, they help stabilize your core and your back. If you're weak in that area, your back tries to compensate, your spinal erectors get tight and you get back pain. So if you train abs and you do, not just external crunches, but internal as well, that can really solve back pain. Another one is tight hamstrings. If you sit all day, your hamstrings are tight. If you do deadlifts where you stretch and you do extensions, those are gonna help out as well, right? A big one is actually weight loss. Right, if you're trying to lose weight, one of the best ways you can do that is by adding muscle. Muscle actually consumes calories, right? There's this myth of like, oh, I don't want to look like a dude. I don't want to look like a, Arnold Schwarzenegger or, a Jay Cutler or a massive bodybuilder. First of all, if you're a woman, that's never going to happen unless you go take testosterone and steroids. You're not going to look like a dude. And then second, if you are a dude, that's also not just going to magically happen. You have to put a lot of effort and discipline into it. Like it's a cute idea that you think after 4 workouts you're gonna look like Mr. Olympia, but that's not gonna happen. That takes a lot of planning and progress to get there. So by working out, you add muscle, and that muscle will make you look better, it's gonna make you feel better, but it also consumes calories over time. And so what that means is, it's kind of like having passive income. I've got a passive source of calorie consumption now. If I'm very muscly, I can actually eat more food because my muscles burn the calories. My fat, if I'm storing fat, doesn't burn calories, right? So think about, you've got your frame, your bones, your structure. If you load it with fat, that's not gonna do much for you. It doesn't consume calories because it is calories. It exists there as fuel, right? But if you load it down with muscle, all that muscle demands calories in order to continue existing. And so it's gonna make it to where you can increase your food intake without gaining weight. Or if you're trying to lose weight, add muscle and it's gonna put you in a higher caloric deficit, which is the only way you lose weight, is being in a deficit of calories. And so you can actually accelerate that by having more muscle. So these are just some examples. Another one I wanna give you guys, I'm 30 years old. I'm turning 31 in a couple of months. I still operate like I'm a teenager, right? Last night I ran 4 miles just for fun, right? I don't have pains, I don't have sores, I don't have aches. If you work out with weights and you train, you will stay younger, right? I firmly believe for the human being, like the fountain of youth is bodybuilding. If you work out with weights, you're gonna stay young. And I'm proof of that. So these are all reasons you would work out. Now let's talk about the right way to do it, right? Because when I first started working out, I was like, you know, I wanted to show off, I wanted to feel strong. And so I would walk into the gym and I would pick up the biggest weight that I could muster and pick up, and I would do curls and I would swing my back and I would be grunting and doing all of this nonsense, trying to look like I was strong and lifting weights. Here's the key on lifting weights, okay? You're lifting weights to, let's say we're doing curls, to aim at the muscle. You're not training your joints. You're not training your ligaments. You're not training your frame. You're training a muscle. You're trying to isolate the muscle. So the first thing you want to understand is when I do a certain exercise, what muscle is being targeted. Okay, and I want to take out any momentum that I can to make that movement actually as inefficient as it can possibly be. Inefficient meaning if I'm doing a bicep curl, for example, I'm going to brace my elbow against something so I can't swing, and I'm going to go really slow on the way down so I'm not swinging and getting momentum to pull it back up. I want to make the muscle absorb all of the stress from the action, all of the strength goes to that muscle, all of the load goes on that muscle, and it forces me to really train the bicep. Right? Because here's what could happen. If I don't do that, you know, I pick it up and I'm swinging. Well, now I'm training my shoulder. I'm training a bit of my upper chest, right? I'm using my core to swing. And so I'm not really isolating the muscle I'm trying to isolate, and I'm not really adding anything to that bicep, right? So really, like, isolation is a key. I don't do a bunch of swinging. I don't do a bunch of compound lifts where I'm, you know, hitting lots of muscle groups all at once. I focus on, okay, if I'm training, you know, my quads on my legs, I'm going to focus on something that isolates those really well. Okay, now the key here is good form. Okay, good form comes first, before weight, before speed. So I want to go slow and controlled. And so here's what my actual reps will look like if I'm putting together, let's say, you know, a workout where I'm trying to train my pecs, for example, right? On Monday, it's International Chest Day. That's the joke. And people will go in there and they'll load up the barbell bench press and they'll put as much weight as they possibly can and they'll grunt it out. I don't do barbell benching at all. Right? I haven't done it in years because I think it's an inefficient chest exercise. Okay, I don't want to train my shoulders, my triceps, my lower back, I want to train my chest. Right? And so by doing that, I look for how do I isolate. So when I go in, I actually generally am going to focus on something that's a cable exercise, a cable or a machine. Right? There's this myth that if you do, you know, free weights, somehow it makes you stronger. No, your muscles aren't going to tell like, oh, this is a free weight, this is a machine. They're going to tell there's a load directly on me, and so that's going to be something I need to push, whether it's a free weight, a cable, or a machine. Okay, with a cable, I can direct the tension. Right? So think about this. If I'm doing a press with a cable, I come down and the cable is a straight line. So if I'm aligned with the pattern of motion on the muscle, I come down, I get a full range of motion, a full contraction at the very top of that chest exercise, and there's not a lot of variance. If I'm doing, let's say, dumbbells or free weights, which I'm not saying don't do those, but I'm saying I just prefer the cable, there's a lot more. I can move around and it can hit different areas versus that cable, it keeps me locked in on the area that I'm training. Right? I had someone ask me the other day, do you believe in you know, doing weights and cables, or do you think calisthenics are better? I think weights and cables are better. Right? Now, either one is good, as opposed to doing nothing. I would say do push-ups and pull-ups. That's what calisthenics are. But I would rather do weights and cables between the two. But if you're not going to do any, then yeah, do your push-ups and your pull-ups and your sit-ups. That's better than not doing any activity at all. Right? So I'm going to find a cable or machine-based exercise that isolates the muscle that I'm trying to hit. Right? The other thing I like about cables and machines is they don't wear down my joints and ligaments as much. So when I was a bodybuilder, I didn't have this practice. I was doing, you know, all of the bro science is what I call it, normal things you see people do in the gym. So just picture this in your brain. Okay, I'm doing what's called an incline dumbbell press. Okay, so I'm on a little incline bench. I'm doing dumbbell presses, and I would go for a 6-rep max sometimes. And I was doing 110 pounds in each hand. Okay, 110 pounds in each hand. It was so heavy that my muscles could handle it, but my wrists couldn't. So to this day, I have wrist and elbow issues, right? I'll be typing and my wrists will need to crack randomly, right? Because I messed them up so bad doing these heavy presses. But I'm doing 110 pounds in each hand with my dumbbells, and my spotter at the time weighed 110 pounds, right? So it was like a cute sentiment that this person was spotting me, but it's like, yeah, if I drop this dumbbell, it's gonna hit me in the face. Like it's great that you're there, but it's not really gonna help. And I would do them and I would get my 6 reps in, but my elbows and my wrists would be exhausted, right? And so I don't do that anymore. I don't do dumbbells, I do cables, right? The cables, they keep the tension down lower and I can keep that wrist and that joint a lot healthier because I need those. I'm gonna be around for several more decades, and so I need to make sure that my body is intact, and I don't wanna build muscle at the cost of my frame and support system, right? So I have a good cable exercise, it's isolating the right muscle. My first 3 or 4 sets, these are called feeler sets, okay? I'm focusing on a full range of motion, a good stretch at the bottom, and a good contraction at the top, and controlling the muscle I'm trying to control, okay? A feeler set, I'm not going for exhaustion. I'm probably going maybe 40, 50, 60% of what I could be doing, and I'm going slow and controlled, and I'm doing 8 to 12 reps, right? And usually it's gonna be on the 12 side, right? I wanna go more reps, and I wanna really get a good feel. And so I'm gonna do, usually 3 or 4 of these, but really it's kind of subjective. I'm gonna do it till the muscle feels stretched, till my joints feel stretched, till I feel blood that's in the muscle. It's called a pump. I'm in the muscle I'm about to exercise. I'm gonna kick the weight up a little bit, maybe 50% or 60% of what I could be doing, do that last feeler set, okay? Now this next one I call a chip set, okay? Now, totally different story of why it's called a chip set. We won't get into that today, but I call it a chip set, right? And here's how you could think of it. This is the set where you're gonna put all the chips on the table, right? Think about like poker. You're holding nothing back. You're putting all the chips on the table and you're going all in on this set. So I'm gonna go for my maximum weight for 8 to 12 reps with perfect form, right? And so on a chest press, for example, like I'm doing my chip set, I'm literally gonna go for my maximum weight for 8 to 10 or 12 reps. And so I'm gonna start with one that I probably can only get 8 reps on. I'm gonna max myself out on that. And that's gonna be my chip set, my weight for the next few weeks till I can get 12. Okay, once I can get 12 with that, I'm gonna bump up a little bit again, right? So I'm doing my chip set, and the purpose of this is maximal overload. Okay, a strong muscle is a big muscle. So if I'm training for strength, I'm training to get muscle tone. Okay, and here, I'm gonna hit the muscle tone myth real quick. Muscle tone equals muscle mass with low body fat. Okay, people are like, I wanna get toned. That's not a thing. Okay, you have muscle mass and low body fat, therefore the definition of your muscle shows through. Okay, the less body fat you have, the more ripped you look. So you're telling me you wanna have moderately low body fat with muscle mass underneath. That's what tone is, right? How do you get tone? Get strong. Get strong, lose some weight, you'll look toned, right? If you lose even more weight, you'll look ripped. If you lose even more weight, you'll look shredded, right? If you lose even more weight, then yeah, you can look like a bodybuilder, but that's a very purposeful activity, right? So back to the chip set thing. I'm doing the chip set, boom, I hit my 8 rep max. Now here's the thing, guys. On the chip set, you train to failure every single time, okay? You train, there's 2 types of failure here, okay? There's physical failure, and then there's mental failure, okay? Physical failure happens after mental failure. Here's what I mean by this. If I go into my chip set and I'm thinking, man, this is heavy weight, I'm not gonna be able to do it, and I'm thinking about work, or I'm thinking about a fight that I just had, or I'm thinking about what I'm gonna eat for dinner tonight, or wherever my mind is at, guess what? I'm gonna suck on that set, and my mind is not engaged in making the body do what it needs to do. I'm not gonna do well on that set, and I'm not gonna push as many reps out, okay? If I go into it thinking only about the task at hand, nothing else on my mind. I'm gonna do 8 reps. I'm gonna get the weight down. I'm thinking about the reps. I'm thinking about my form. I'm thinking about what I need to do and what I need to mentally be, maybe the state of mind I need to have as I go into it, then I'm gonna get those reps done, okay? So I'm going to mental failure on this, meaning I'm gonna start getting tired, and on a chip set, I need to dig deep. Okay, I need to dig deep, and I need to find something that motivates me to push through, even though my body's telling me, hey, Jerry, we're about to give up. We need to tap out, no more reps. And I'm saying, no, you've got another one. And I keep telling myself, no, you've got another one, until I literally can't. Okay, and so like on a chest press, for example, this is called central nervous system. Like when you train this hard, your central nervous system kicks in. This is the same mechanism that you hear about when, the car falls on the kid and somehow the mom lifts it off with her bare hands. Okay, you have that, you can activate that. So when I do my chest press, for example, it's not uncommon that my hands are shaking when I'm done. Okay, that's the adrenaline. Like you're putting your body into that fight or flight response, and you're pushing through it and actually mentally making yourself keep going. And that's gonna put you into that position of, okay, I actually did maximally train today. I pushed my muscle further than it thought it could go, Okay, now once I do my chip set, I'm gonna do something called a back off set. A back off set means I'm gonna drop down to about 70 to 80% of my max. Okay, I am gonna give myself a couple minutes to recover. I just damaged the hell out of my muscle on the chip set. So I'm gonna give myself a few minutes to recover. I'm gonna do that back off set, and that one is gonna be pretty exhausting still. Remember, I just did my maximum weight for 8 to 12 reps. I'm tired. So I'm gonna take, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, do that back off set. I'm focusing again on form, giving the muscle kind of a deload, and then I'm moving into the next one, right? So this is the science of literally just doing, one exercise. And I'm gonna usually do 3, 4, 5 exercises per muscle group. Each one of those, I'm gonna do some feeler sets, a chip set, and a back off set. Okay, so I know that's a lot today. I told you I was gonna give you the tip here. Here's the magic tip. The magic tip on how to get stronger every single workout, okay? Remember I told you about the chip set. You're gonna go for an 8 to 12 rep max. Anytime I get to 12 reps on a weight, I bump the weight up by 2.5 pounds next week, okay? And then I get back to, okay, I just went from 160 to 162.5. Now next week I'm doing a heavier weight. I'm gonna start getting 8 reps on this one. Then the week after, I'm gonna get 10 reps. Then the week after, I'm gonna get 12 reps. Cool, I'm at 12 reps, I'm gonna add another 2.5 pounds. Right? People think, and this is the problem, not just with weights, it's with everything. We think in terms of like massive leaps. You need to think about what's the next incremental increase I can take. Okay, it doesn't need to be you added 50 pounds on your weight. It's you add a 2.5 pound dumbbell, and every week you either do more weight for the same reps or more reps with the same weight. Right? So then you're always getting stronger, right? You're increasing the load, you're increasing the amount that's happening. And the beautiful thing about that is if you get stronger, your muscle gets bigger, right? You look more defined, you have more energy, you have more strength, right? And these are all things that are gonna lead to you being healthier overall. So guys, this has been Fitness Friday. I do wanna remind you, I am a Legionnaire with First Form. So if you're watching this and you're like, okay, cool, I'm working out, I wanna take my recovery to the next level, I wanna take my muscle building to the next level, click the link in the description, go to our First Form website, check out some of the supplements there, the pre-workout, post-workout protein. These are all things I use. Until then, we'll see you next time.